Hey guys, welcome to the channel, welcome to the stream, and another chapter working on him. That is our Audi R8 Spyder by Revell. It's a 124 scale model kit. We're gonna run the intro and we'll get started. Okay, we're back guys, and we're gonna continue on the build. We're going to continue with what I'm going to call body part 2, okay, because we started with the body last time and we didn't get finished. We still got stuff to do with the body, so we're going to continue. But I'll do a quick little recap over what we did and some of the things that I did off camera while I was away, or while you were away. How about that? Okay, that makes more sense, right? Yeah. So let me change the camera and I'll show you guys. Alright, so last time we started off by polishing off the body and we got it all nice and shiny and she's all polished, right? And we put in one of the headlights and that was really about it. And we started doing some decals and things like that. So off camera I put in our two front things and I put the other headlight in. So that's what we're looking at so far on the front end, okay? Those are sitting in there like that, okay? So the headlights go in, we've got little things going around them to hold them in place. It's very nice and simple and easy to put them in. And then our big black pieces, they just go in right below them. And there's really nothing special about it. You just line them up until you got no holes. Excuse me. You line them up till you got no holes or gaps in there, and there you go. So as you can see, even though we put decals on there, you can barely see the decals. I wound up actually having to go over top of the decals with a flat clear because it was really glossy looking, and it did not look like any picture I've seen on the online of these cars. This is not supposed to be gloss black, and yet that's what we have. We put in our little interior A-pillar piece here. Okay, we got that installed. Had to put clips on each little pillar here to get them to hold in and stay where they belong. And then I actually took a little bit of black and I went along the outline there for the rest of it, including in here to hide that. I got a touch up in here a little bit, obviously. That looks a little skanky. This side looks a little bit better and looks a little more like it's supposed to. But yeah, that's that. And the keen eye will notice that I have installed our tail light housings. So they just sit into these little channels here. You can see that. That's how they sit in there on each side. Okay. Two little decals go on them and the lenses, and then I did a little panel liner around the decals. So we got a little bit of detail going on there, and that's about it. The rest of it, of course, for our rear bumper, remember we put this in. What I wound up doing is, because our black piece did not really conform to the curvature of our bumper very well. So I wound up using clips. I put clips on like this, okay, to clip it in and pull it there, and glued it in. And even after doing the clips, it still wanted to pop out. The glue just did not hold strong enough. So I wound up taking a couple of pieces of styrene, just a little thin strip of styrene, and I trimmed it to a roughly curved shape here, and I glued it in while I had it being held with the clips like this. So I glued that in to help give extra bond to keep each side in place. And so that's what I did with that. So you can see, if the camera will stay focused, you can see the little piece of styrene I put in there on each side and got that in there to hold it in. Okay. Now your kit may curve better and it may not be an issue, but mine, this thing really wanted to stick out on each edge. It's just the way it was, and so that's what I had to do to clear that up. And of course, putting in those decals for the grills in the back here, I had similar issues. I wound up having to mask this all off and do a flat clear over this, and obviously I put the decal on for the license plate there. And so that is that, and that's our rear bumper. I did a little bit of panel lining. You saw me at the end of the episode last time. Did some panel lining on our little, this is going to be under the hood there. It's going to be visible. Something, I'll just kind of pretend this is in here with the hood off. It's going to sit in here something like this. in that kind of position, and you're going to see that when you pop open the hood. That's what's going to be visible. So yeah, we got that. And I did a little bit of panel lining around underneath the hood here just to make the details pop. I put the grill, I put the license plate in on the front. My friend wanted the Audi emblem, so there we go. We've got the Audi emblem on the front grill. The other thing I did off camera was I took the windshield and I painted the black surround on it. So we have our windshield here, and what I did is I actually took masking tape and I taped it all off, and then I did put some of my Mr. Surfacer 1500 black. That's this one here. I used that, put that in my airbrush, and I airbrushed it. And yeah, so doing that helped me get some nice straight lines and all that. And then of course I put some Molotow liquid chrome in the mirror, and I installed our rear view mirror. And that is that. And that's now on my desk, falling over. Yeah, so there we go. So there's our little rear view mirror, and that looks a lot more mirror-ish than what they want me to do. The instructions call out for you to put on a decal. They had a decal on here somewhere in here to actually put the decal on there. But as you can see, here's our decals for our side view mirrors. Side view mirror decals. Now that don't look too mirror-ish to me. That's just silver. It's really, and it's not even a bright silver. It's kind of just a super light gray. Well, the funny thing is they have this, but yet they've got the chrome pieces for the mirrors. And I have them assembled. I have them assembled here. Those are, you get chrome mirrors in this kit, and as you can see, we got reflections and stuff, and that looks like chrome. Those look like mirrors, and yet they have the decals here for some reason, and I don't know why. I don't know why. I don't know why. Why do they give you decals for mirrors when you've got the chrome? Really? I don't know. I don't know. That's not an answer that I have. I don't have that answer. Anyway, so that's about it. That kind of wraps it up. Oh, I put a couple of decals. A couple of decals on some clear pieces. Those grid patterns. Oh, and I painted the third brake light red. Our third brake light, we got that red in there. And you can see we've got some grill decals on some clear pieces that are supposed to go. And yeah. So, that about wraps that up. So, I'm saying so a lot. So, yeah, let's see. Let's take a look at our book, and let's just find out what's next. Okay, what are we supposed to do next? And I'm going to say it again. So, I guess we kind of finished up with step 8 last time, where we got our headlights, we got our A-pillar liner in there, this headlight, the right headlights in. So we got this part done, and as I discussed last time, I'm not going to be putting these blanks in here on the back. I think it's going to look a lot better. This will look better when this is open, rather than having a solid black piece in there like this, because that's exactly what it'll look like. It'll look like there's a black panel in there, and I think it just looks a lot better having that wide open like that. That's just visually, I think that looks better, and so I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that part, which leaves us to the second half of step 8. I already did this. Like I said, we have our bumper. This is all done. Did that off camera, and we got that finished, and that's ready to go. I also did the tail lights. Okay, our tail light housings, those are done and installed. So now it's just a matter of putting in the bumper. So we got to put the bumper on. That's going to be step 1 for today. I'm going to change my glasses. Now, test fitting the bumper, I've done a bunch of times, and it is going to be a little bit of a challenge to get both sides all lined up. This has got this really, really tiny little lip right there on each side that's supposed to tuck in while having this lined up in there and everything, and it lines up into this little channel here where my finger is. It lines up in there and then tucks down into here and into here, and it's not the greatest fit. It doesn't line up all that great, It's okay. I'm going to say it's okay, but it's not the best. I'm going to try and help myself a little bit here, preemptively, by adding some tape, so that once I got it lined up, I can just put some glue on it and leave it alone. Because that's going to be the hard part. The hard part's leaving it alone once it's lined up. So again, so this white part here, that kind of gets tucked in right in here into this little area, like this. It sits like that. And then our sides got to go in and get lined up. Now that side's nice, so I'm going to take that down. Now this side wants to hang loose. I want to have this side tucked in nice as well. She doesn't really want to just tuck in, she just wants to sit loose. I went and folded the tape by mistake. I think we got it going where it needs to be. It looks like it's going to be okay. It is a Revell model kit, so the fitment is never going to be perfect. And that's just the way Revell kits are. So I actually want to replace this piece because I'm not happy with it. You see how easy it comes apart? Don't like that. Okay, pull that back down a little bit. Get this back lined up in there. And I want it tucked in nicely. The unfortunate thing is, to get it lined up here, it makes it not lined up at the back, and you line up one side. Our wheel well opening just doesn't really line up very good. I wish it lined up better. Let's see if we can fix this side a little bit. See, she wants to really move forward, right? But I want it to line up. And so that is the trick. At least the curvature on this is fine. I think I can put some glue on it. The main parts that it's making contact is obviously down in here and in here, but also here and here. I don't really like this pin sticking down here and here. It's like it's forcing it forward, I think. It's not letting it go back, or is it the other way around? Maybe it's preventing it from coming forward. But it just feels like they're trying too hard to line it up for you, and in doing so they're actually making it worse. That's what it feels like to me. There actually is a little bit of a groove right in here that it's trying to fit in, but it can't because the groove is too far back. I'm going to take this apart. You know, this is the first time I really kind of analyzed the fitment of this because, of course, because now I'm thinking about gluing it, so now I got to really seriously look at it. So let's just undo our tape and so it's hard, probably the camera can't really pick it up, but there's a little groove right there, and that's not really helping me. So I kind of want to notch this down a little bit here. If I can just very carefully cut this notch down. Even just a little bit so the other piece can slide past it. If that's all I can do, then that's all I need to do. Let's see. Okay, now let's work on this side here. Okay, let's put this guy back on. Line this up. That looks better. That side looks a lot better. Just that one little thing to carve out, and suddenly I can get it a lot more flush. Wow. This I could still use a little bit of work. Let's see here. Yeah, if I could just push that back a little bit, if I could just get that to stay there long enough for glue to hold. The way it's sitting right now is very good. So I'm going to glue that now. Get some glue here. And we're going to glue in here. And maybe a little where it's contacting the head, the tail lights. And it's going to contact down in that part. Here, and of course on the side here. Now I'd like to go along in here too, but technically this should be sitting flat. There should not really be a lip there. It's not really making a lot of contact. But I almost want to put clamp, if I can get the clamp, if I can convince this clamp to stay in that little channel, and I don't think I can. I think the clamp is just going to pull off. Yeah, clamp won't stay. Clamp is not going to stay because any other clamp I try, and other than my actual fingernail, is not going to stay. So I think what I'm going to wind up doing, once this glue is dry, I'm going to use a little file, and I'm just going to get rid of that little tiny sticky outy thing that's right there, right? And make that a little bit more smooth. This side I might not have to do it. On the passenger side it might be okay, but we're going to let that dry, and we're just going to leave this. Actually, I'm going to touch in here on the corners with some glue. That and like that. It's kind of terrible that it touched on the black, but that's okay. It'll dry and she'll be fine. Worst case scenario, I'll have to mask it all off and put another coat of flat clear on it, but that's okay. All right, so let this dry. That's going to be it for that step. We'll let that sit aside here. So that's going to finish this page. And that's it. So let's go to step 9. Step 9, we're going to be working on our hood. So the nice thing about the hood is we got a couple of pieces to put on into these little channels, and those are the clear pieces, and they want us to put the decals on, decals 59 and 61, but I've already done that. Right, so we're all ready to go, and that's these two pieces here. Okay, so let's get these off of here. Alrighty, so these two pieces go onto the hood into these two little spots. Flip that over, and this one can go in here. And this one. That's the thing, I'm not sure which side. I'm going to put these I'm going to put these with the decal side towards the top, like this. That's what we're going to do. You could say decal side down. It's too ambiguous in the instructions to know whether our decals are supposed to go on the top or the bottom. I really don't know. I mean, it could say, you could interpret the picture as the decal goes underneath and therefore gets sandwiched between the part and the body. So that's what I'm doing. That's what it looks like right now. So that's what I'm doing. So we'll just add some glue to these. Glue that in. Okay. Let the glue do its thing. There's really, from the top, you're not really going to see anything. It's just a couple little holes. And yeah, if I've got light shining through the holes, you can see the grill, you can see the grills, right, through those little things. But that's it. This should be okay for me to hold like this. So you might be able to see the grills through there. If I do this, you can see the grills. But I think when it's all done and it's said and done and the thing is all together and it's dark underneath there, you're probably not going to see it. Okay, so we're going to take our hood, and I've done this before. You kind of have to drop the hood through like this. They show you taking it and putting it up through, but it's just too wide to fiddle around. So I found it easier to drop it from the bottom, basically, or from my angle. We're doing it from the top, and drop it in like this, and pull it through until you've got it. I'm going to bend it, put my fingers on it, and bend it a little bit to help get it to fit through this. But that's about it. And we'll push this through until we're into position, like that. Okay. Now before, when I painted this body, I had taped it in from underneath here. I had taped it in across here. But this time, I'm going to tape it like this. I'm going to tape it across the top, just to keep the hood in place. Just to help me keep it in place. Okay. So it stays in that position, because that's what we need. So holding it like that, we've got our third brake light. Or no, is it a third brake light? I don't think so. It's just clear. It's clear and has a grill on it, so I don't know if that's a brake light or not. I don't think so, actually. I'd like to think it would be, but it's not. So that is part number 69 with decal number 60 on it. Okay, and that's that. I showed you guys this already. That's that guy there. Okay, and so he's got two holes to go into those two little pegs, and that's just going to sit in there. So let's see how well he fits. Or am I going to be drilling out the holes on these? Hopefully he fits. And it looks like his little rectangle channel is going to sit in right up in here too. So he does fit over the pegs, and that holds that in place there like that, so that's nice. And so we got another little grill right there. So we'll glue him down. Okay, I'll give him another little press just to make sure he's pressed up against there and he's happy. I got quite a bit of glue on him, so I want to make sure I don't get like glue seeping out here and then I touch. That would be a horrible mistake. Okay, so there we go. There's the right side up angle of our little grills and our little hood thing. And now our little hood cover, or I guess you could say the hood holder, is going to drop down on top. And so our corners, corner here and corner here, are going to line up to these little channels here and here. Not where the hood hinge is, but here and here in front of it. Alright. And he drops in and he's going to hold the hood because he's a good boy. If I could, I'd put if I had a clamp, I'd put a clamp like this. But I don't have a clamp. And I do have to be a little careful because we've got the pins for the hood and we don't want that to interfere. So you want to put the glue, but you want to kind of be a little sparing with it. You don't want to just slather a whole ton of glue in there. So there's the front edge. I just want to hold that for a sec. And I'm going to squeeze in here between my finger to get this corner here. And then see if I can change my positioning here a little bit without moving anything so that I can get in there. Just hold this down for a minute. Let that glue do its thing. What I'd like to do now, I want to make sure that I haven't accidentally glued my hood down. So I'm going to pull this tape up. Because that would be unfortunate, to go through all this trouble and all the painting and everything, only to find out I went and glued my hood down. So my hood is free, it's moving freely, so I haven't accidentally done that. And that's good, makes me happy. Okay, so that is that. In a perfect world, I'm going to clamp this down. Let me see if I can actually get a clamp in there. Unfortunately, any clamp I put on there is also going to clamp the hood, and I don't really want to do that. But that's okay. I want to just have this thing solid down in there. And that works for me. And I can help. So now with that, whoops, see, you gotta be careful. And of course, you know, that lifted that up when I did that, so I want to put a little more glue here on this edge and a little on this side. So as you open the hood, the hinges want to push onto this and lift it up, and so you gotta be careful with all of that. And all that stuff. So I want to make sure this is good and solid, even to the point where I might add a piece of styrene right here just to give it a little extra something to hold it. I might just do that, just a little strip right there, a little extra piece. I think I'm going to do that because my clamp just came off again. This clamp is not being cooperative. Okay, you're going to hold while I get my styrene? Just stay there for a minute. Let me get some styrene here. I got my little extra strip of styrene here. I'm just going to do a little strip. Just a little piece like this. Okay, I'm going to do 2. There we go. And so just a little piece like this, and I can put down in here like that, right up against it. And so basically I'm gluing this piece not only to the part but also to the body. Which just you know, there's more to it, and so therefore the bond is stronger. I got a little bit of glue on my tweezers, and that's why it's sticking. Let's put this guy into place. That looks like a good spot. And a bunch of glue on him. There we go. Give him a little push just to make sure he's bonded good. Yeah, good. Good. Okay, so that's going to strengthen that bond there. You guys see that? Can you see where I've done that? Those two little extra pieces, right in here, right there, I'm right there. Okay, just to add that little extra something. All right, we're going to let that sit for a minute or 5 before we really play around with it. The next step actually is to put our interior bucket in. They want the interior going in. And that might actually be a good idea because leaving this on its own, the clamps want to come apart. So maybe putting the interior in is good. But you know, I've got a couple of little spots like this, like in that corner there, that need a little bit of touch up. So I'm going to do that before we get the interior put in. Let's put our instructions over here. Let's put this down so that the clamps aren't getting interfered with. I'm going to just grab some of my 1500 Mr. Surfacer, and we're going to touch up a couple little spots on those pillars before we actually commit to putting the interior in. So let's grab a little brush here. Because once the interior is in, my ability to reach in here and paint this will be down to 0. So let's get this taken care of first. Okay, any spot that I might see a little bit of white, I need to touch up. You know, this actually looked a lot worse on camera than it does in real life. It's really just, I need another coat. It's really all it is. Smoothing that out. This side looks pretty good, except for that little tiny corner there. Kind of nitpicking. I tend to do that, you know, when I'm building something like this for somebody other than myself, I tend to nitpick a little bit and be a little tiny bit more careful about my details. Because in a way it's like, okay, if I notice it, then they're gonna notice it. And I don't want someone to look at that and go, oh hey, that looks like crap. Look at that spot he missed on there. You know, I don't want people doing that. I don't like that. Maybe that's why I have absolutely no interest in going to, like, entering my stuff into any kind of contests or model shows or anything like that, because, well, I feel like even though my friends tell me I'm pretty good at doing this stuff, I don't think I'm anywhere near good enough to be entering my stuff in any kind of a show. So, okay, interior bucket. This guy's supposed to go in. And it looks like we've got two little holes here at the side of the dash that are going to line up with these little pegs on our A pillar. This guy right there, and this guy right here. So it looks like our A pillars line up with those. And then I suppose around the back here is going to line up with these two little, or these four, I guess, these four channels here, here, and here, and there, and there, and there, and there, and there, and there. Okay, so let's flip our bucket over. Let's hold it like this, and let's see how she fits. I would say that is almost a flawless fit, if I did say so myself. She fit down over top of those absolutely perfectly, and she fits in the little channels there absolutely perfectly. If it had a roof, I would use that to my advantage, but she's got no roof. So this actually kind of pops through and becomes flush. That should be flush with your white. That should be flush with the body. So if you've done this right, that's flush. If you've done it wrong, it's not matching up. That's an easy way to say it. Okay, so let's put some glue on there. Let's get some glue started. And in similar fashion, I don't want to just rely only on that. I kind of want to add a piece of styrene here or there and get it to line up nicely and get it to be held in nice and solid. This should be a nice solid piece. So what do I mean, get a piece of styrene? I'll show you what I mean. I want to put a piece of styrene maybe right across here and butt it right up against there. See, now when I put this down, it's going to press on the seats, and we don't want that. So we're going to do this. We're going to do a little balancing act. We're going to put that towards the hood, we're going to put that behind the seats, and that's where we're going to sit. Okay, and I'm going to get another piece of styrene. Where did my piece of styrene go? Here we go. I'm going to grab this, that, and we're going to lay this down right in the middle back here. The thickness is almost the same, but it's not. Does that make sense? It's almost the same, but it's not the same. So if I put that there, let's put a little glue on there. Get you to sit in your spot where I want you to sit. That. There we go. Add a little more. So it just makes it a little more than just relying on these two little pegs back here and here and the two little side ones. It's a little extra something that's going to help hold that in place. And I'll show you what I'm going to do even more so to add more to it. I'm going to get one that's a little bit longer, put a piece that's a little longer, and I'm going to put some glue over the top here and put this guy down on top. So kind of a sandwich. There we go. And I'd like to do one on the front also. So we're going to turn this around. Now this kind of, you could say this is a little overkill. Like, why am I not relying on what they were doing? Yeah, maybe. You could be right. This could be considered overkill. Because we've got pegs that are holding it down here, but you know what? It's just, for me, I want a little bit extra. I got a little bit of a lip here, but not much. So I kind of maybe just going to put this in across. Maybe not. Maybe just do that. Or you can go over to the pillars and put it beside the pillar like that. That's a good idea. All right. So, I don't know if you guys could see, so I put it down in beside the pillar. Or beside the hole where the A-pillar is. Right in there. Whoops, here. Right in there. Okay. And I'm going to do the same over here. Over here on this side. And once again, yes, it's probably overkill and probably not really necessary. But at the same time, I feel a little better about it. The fact that this is going to be in there nice and solid and not go anywhere on me. And so there's the other side there. Just a couple little pieces, and it's just to add a little extra something for the glue to make contact and to glue that thing in and keep it there. The other half of step 10 is to actually put the chassis to the body. Are we almost done? No, we got a lot of stuff to do on the body still. But they want us to do this all after it's assembled onto the chassis, and I don't really like that. I mean, I don't mind it so much, but of course the mirrors are going to be the last thing. I'm thinking I'm not going to do door windows, although it's nice to have the option. I'm not going to do the door windows up. We're going to have those down. Okay, door windows will be down on this thing, and yeah, so that's that. So they're showing here the decals for the tail lights, which I already did. Those are installed already. We just haven't put our lenses onto the tail lights yet. That's one thing we haven't done. And there's our third brake light. It's going in the middle there. Okay. So I think maybe our hood area has probably been held long enough that should be able to be unclamped and have it sit and stay. Looks pretty good. Am I confident enough to flip open the hood? Maybe not. Because the hood does want to, like the pin, I don't know if you guys can see the pin down in there where I'm pointing with my knife blade. That pin in there, right there, that really wants to push down when I open the hood. So I don't know if there's a particular technique to prevent that. If it means pull up on the hood and then you can open it. What has Revell done? What have you done to make it so you can actually open the hood on this thing? And take a look. I mean, yeah, so I can open it, you know, a tiny, super tiny little bit, and that's it. why do I have a bunch of detail on my engine? I can do that. It almost looks like what they're trying to do is have it, if I get this at the right angle for you to see, in here, of course I do that. Okay, so you see, I'm going to point with my finger there. That's the little area there where the peg is. It's almost like they want you to slide the peg forward. Right? That's what that kind of looks like. So can I slide it forward? Yes, I can. So I slide it forward and the hood opens much more. There we go. The hood opens much more when it's slid forward. But then to close the hood, you have to do this and slide it back like that. It's really finicky. Closing the hood is a pain in the neck. There we go. I have a feeling my friend's going to want to just leave the hood closed. With the amount of work that it takes to actually open the hood, he's probably just going to want to keep it closed all the time. And honestly, he just might display it just like this and just leave it and never touch it again, you know? Okay. Speaking of never touching it in, let's see if we can get this onto the chassis, because that is the next step. We have our chassis here. Since last time I showed you, I did add the decals to the engine that you're supposed to add, you know, your little warning decals and stuff like that, and of course the Audi emblems and that great big kind of weird hatch emblem that goes in the middle there. Just make sure this is all still connected properly. This is feeling a little bit loose, almost like some glue has come apart somewhere along the lines. It doesn't feel very glued in. I'm going to add a little glue into our intake here because it feels a little loose. I'm feeling a little bit of wobbliness. So let's just do that. Before we get into any serious problems here, let's just add some glue in here. And some spots that we're not going to be able to see, so even if the glue does take away some of the paint, you can't see it. Okay, so there's our chassis. Okay, it's really flexible. Like the plastic is really not that much of a big bond, which that might be my fault, you know, because this should be glued in the middle of the drive shaft there, but it's not. It's come apart. I don't think it makes any difference. Let's see here. Chassis. Do we have to spread the chassis? Do we have to go in a certain angle? According to the instructions, it just goes straight down over top. Okay. There's really no guide of any kind. There's no pins or guide, anything. This might be having to, it might have to go in underneath that. Let's have a look here. Let's grab this like this, this like this. Yeah, our wheel wells definitely got to go in like this. They should have done the bumper after. That's really what should have been done. This should have been put on after the chassis, because now you've got to spread the body apart to get your wheel wells in there. As I do this, it's going to want to lift that thing out, which is kind of freshly glued. And of course, we don't fit our wheel wells on the body sides. There's one side in. I'm holding my bumper in place because it is kind of freshly glued, but it's not the best. Kind of having to get in over here. I don't really want to let go of my bumper. I want to keep it on the body. But this has to be tucked in here or here. Either way, got to spread the body apart. There we go. Spread it there. That's in. That's in. Slowly. Go. There we go. Hey, we're in. We're in. And it even lines up like our chin. Our chin lines up here. I'm going to take the tape off my bumper. I want to see how our alignment is. I want to see if I can back that off just a little bit. Come on, tape. Work with me here. There we go. Okay, we've got some unfortunate smudge of glue on our back bumper on this side. Our passenger side looks like shit there. That sucks. And that's because glue went in. See, the car body wants to pull the bumper away. I'm going to have to figure out a way to clamp this like that in order to hold this in place while the glue really hardens. But I do that on this side, and now this one's separating. See, our bumper don't want to fit proper, and that sucks. I need to literally put clamps here on here and here on each side. Because our bumper's pulling away. Even though the body's, the chassis is in perfect. Absolutely perfect. Let's look at our hood. I want to pop the hood and see how much engine is visible. So the hood, we're going to pull forward, or sorry, pull back like this and lift. And there's how much of the engine is visible. It's really not a lot, is it? In fact, I can't even see the intake and all the putting the decals on and everything like that. Like, really, what's the point of all that? I really don't know. What is the point? In any case, guys, our chassis is installed. Now, do I want to glue it in, or do I want to just leave it? That's kind of is the question of the day, isn't it? Our bumper is basically pissing me off, and that is terrible. If I leave the bumper like this and let that glue harden like that, that's going to be a nightmare to try and clean up. So I either put clamps on it now, or I rip the bumper off and clean it up. So let's try and clamp it now. I'm going to need some pretty good clamps, and I need clamps that are not going to slip off and fly away on me. See, this wants to just slide right off the back. That wasn't very nice. If I put that like that, it just wants to slide off the back. Can I put it on this direction? Nope. If I put it sideways, it just wants to slide off the back. This is going to be a nightmare, because I need to literally do this. That's what I need to do. I need to just hold it like this. So what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to rip this off. Okay. Because I need to clean up this edge a little bit. That edge now has some goobers on it that don't look very nice. And then of course this whole crap right there at the top, that is disgusting. So I need to literally wait until this glue has dried and hardened, and then I'm going to have to try polishing this up and see if I can clean that up a little bit and make that look a little nicer. And then we got to figure out what is going to be required to get this to sit up in there properly. So I'm kind of done. What I'm going to do, we'll do our front grille. We'll put the grill in before I go. Okay? Grill is the next step. Okay? Step 11 is the grill and the mirrors. But mirrors, I've learned my lesson with mirrors. Mirrors are going on last. So, our grill. I've already taken the step of going around the edge of our grill here and getting rid of the chrome so that the glue will hold. And it's just going to sit in that little channel right in there. Okay? So, we're going to first put a little glue on here so that it can start working on the plastic and the paint for us. So we can set our grill in and just let it do its thing. And there's our grill. Bingo! She looks like an Audi now. Okay, so now that's done, what I am going to do is we're going to add a little bit of glue here. Okay, a little glue here. And we're going to put some glue in some spots. So that this car is not so squeaky and rickety, if that makes sense to you. Okay. I'm going to do that, and that is going to be our car. It's cool. Our car is cool looking. Alright, so that, my friends, is where we're going to leave this for today. Like I said a couple of times already, I've got to let the glue harden on this bumper, and then I'm going to try and buff that out and see if I can clean that schmutz up on the back there. And I have a feeling that maybe filing down this little section in here and in here might help in getting the bumper to tuck up and stay there on its own without having to be clamped on each side. And the fact that I can't even get a clamp on there because of the, you know, just the angles of the car, the clamp just wants to slide off. It goes just wants to do this, right? And that's just the way it is. So yeah, so it's gonna have to wait. The car's gonna have to sit and just kind of, well, it's gonna have to wait until next time. But it looks like we're gonna be just about done. Maybe next time we'll be finishing up. Because there's not a lot. It's a bunch of little kibble and bits to put on the back, and then put on our headlight lenses and our front little grills. And that's really about it. There's not a lot left on this, so I think we're going to be finishing next time. So I want to thank you guys for watching. I want to thank you for joining me on this little journey. And she's looking really nice. It's unfortunately fortunate that the back bumper is giving me a headache like this, but that's the way it goes sometimes. Not everything fits, especially on a Revell kit. It's just the way it is. Anyway, guys, I want to thank you again, and I invite you to check out the description box and see my links to my other stuff, like my Twitch and my Instagram, my X channel, those kinds of things, where I post still pictures of all my builds when I'm finished and stuff like that. You guys can check those out if you feel like it. And don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't already. I'd really appreciate that. And we'll see you all in the next one.